Welcome to Counsel of the Day with Shanrae. I am Shanrae, and we are on week 3, part 2 of self-centered or self-preserved. Which one are you, or what would you do is the subtitle for this week. All right, so I want to go on without further ado and get started because our time, 30 minutes, will come and go before we know it. So I am a degree counselor, and I'll leave that there. I acquired my degrees from Ashford University, dual degree actually in counseling, one in psychology, and the other one is in business organizational management. I'm also a Christian counselor, but before we get started, let me do my website. I'm going to read my website disclaimer, and I'm going to magnify it so you can see it a little bit better as I read it. It says, please be aware that due to the nature of the technology that I'm using, there can be no assurance of confidentiality when using this online service. It should also be noted that due to changes in policies that all replies are to be used as advisory and informational only and will not constitute an official determination. Information provided by myself, another counselor, or another counseling services are subject to the limitations of current and available material. But the final responsibility for successfully achieving a goal rests with you, the individual or the client. Information that is online is designed to be helpful. However, this information does change frequently. And it is recommended that you, the individual or the client, will consult another physician, another specialist, and or another religious leader to aid you in your overall behavioral wellness. So again, I am a Christian counselor, and I'm so glad to have you all on tonight. This is an open forum, so feel free to share, ask questions. I will stop, I will pause, I will answer your questions as you are on this evening. If you even want to share any scenarios, this is an open website, open session. So you feel free to comment. I will stop, pause, and we will move it along. Again, I am a Christian counselor. And so the scripture that I chose to highlight for this quarter, this month, is from the Amplified Bible version. Excuse me. Of Matthew's, excuse me. Matthew's chapter 7, verse 12. And it says, so then in everything, treat others the same way that you want them to treat you. For this is the essence of the law and the writings of the prophets. And what the most common version that we know of is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Good evening, Gina. It's good to see you. Good evening. Again, this is an open session. So if you have any questions while I'm doing this session, if you have any scenarios, or you want to share any examples, again, we will pause and we will highlight what you're saying or what you're asking. Okay, so we're going to move this on. Again, our topic for this whole month is self-centered or self-preservation. The subtopic for this week has been, what would you do? And so I've been talking about different scenarios. Tuesday night we highlighted on one topic, and tonight I want to bring it around again. But before we get started, I always give definitions, and then I add extra definitions on what I'm going to what the session is on for this evening. So the first definition is self-preservation, and the two definitions that I chose to highlight on self-preservation is: one, preservation is of oneself from destruction or from harm. Number two, it's also self-preservation is a natural or an instinctive. Actually, let me magnify this so you can see this. And all of this comes from the Webster's Dictionary. Number two says a natural or instinctive tendency to act so as to preserve one's own existence. Now, the second thing that I wanted to highlight was self-centered. So the definition that stood out to me for this is one that is concerned solely with one's own desires, their own needs, or their own interest. Then we talked about narcissistic, being narcissistic. So the definitions that I chose to highlight for narcissistic is meaning to have an excessive or neurotic interest in oneself and one's physical appearance. Then we talked about on Tuesday night being connected, being connected. So if you be you know, a lot of times, most of us hopefully are just right slap dab in the middle, but some people are more self-centered, some people are more self-preserved. And I talked about on Tuesday night being either self-centered or self-preserved and being connected to other people. So I chose to define connectiveness. Be connection, it's the definition is a relationship in which a person, thing, or idea is linked or associated with something else. And then I talked about tonight, I'm going to be talking about balance. So being self-centered or self-preserved and still having balance with this, or moving more into a balance so your relationships can be more fruitful or be more successful. So the balance, the definition of balance that I chose to highlight this evening is to keep or to put something in a steady position so that it does not fall. I'm going to say that again. Balance is to keep or put something in a steady position so that it does not fall. And so balance is something that we should all be working towards and seeking towards. I'm going to highlight tonight's key points tonight. What we're going to be talking about is, number one, nobody is perfect. Okay, nobody. Someone said this on Tuesday night, and I wanted to add that statement in tonight's. I had my everything, my session all mapped out, and then when they said that on Tuesday night, and I get it, I understand when they said that nobody's perfect. I wanted to highlight that on tonight. So first, number one, we're going to talk about nobody's perfect. Number two, we're going to revisit this statement that we want to merge together and feel the bliss of unbounded connection with people that we're connected to. Number three is, what are the big 5 personality traits that we have, all of us, we have either one of them or maybe 2 of them, a combination of 2. Another one is, why your personality is not fixed. Then I'm highlight, why is balance important in a relationship? What does balance mean in a relationship? What are the signs of a one-sided relationship? And then how do you maintain balance in a relationship? So we're going to move this along. We're going to move it along quickly. Again, this is an open forum, so an open session. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions. I will pause and we will answer them. If you want to talk about any scenarios, we will do that as well. All righty then. So let's start out with this. Let me magnify this. All right. So nobody is perfect. So this is found a long-term study by Mr. Patrick Wright. He said, while the idea that you can change aspects of your personality might be reassuring, it's important to keep in mind that having more of a trait is not always better. Personality, after all, is not a competition. It's often our quirks and our flaws. There's 2 sides. I talked about that on Tuesday. There are 2 sides of us. Okay, so we have our quirks and then we have our flaws. And those things make us who we are. Again, so I wanted to again highlight about nobody is perfect. Let's move this along. All right. So, according to Paula D. Smith, because we're revisiting this statement that we want to merge together and feel the bliss. So, this is a long-term study by Dr. Paula D. Smith. And she did a whole long-term study on balancing self-preservation and being in connection with your relationships. So balancing your self-preservation, which is you're protecting yourself in relationships. And so she stated that, we want to merge together and feel the bliss of unbounded connections, warmth and security. But on the other hand, we still want to be independent. We want to make our own choices. We want to have our own ideas, and we want to explore and avoid being hurt all at the same time. Which I'm gonna blow this up. I'm gonna take this down a little bit. Anybody that's lived on this earth long enough know we gonna get hurt sometime in our life, and it starts out young. It starts out. I'm moving the wrong way. Okay, there we go. Getting hurt. A lot of times we experience that as babies. So getting hurt is going to always be a part of our life. Now, it is our natural instinct to we want to we want to make sure that we protect ourselves from getting hurt, because nobody likes the feeling of being hurt. So Dr. Paula Smith says that language and consciousness adds symbolic reasoning, which extends threat beyond the realm of any of the physical, all the way to the abstraction of a single phrase or a gesture. So she said, and this is her words now, and I'm actually going to blow this up so you can see this, and it ain't my words. I'm going to point the arrow exactly where she said, oh, Jesus, I'm sorry, that was totally an accident. I'm going to show you exactly where she said it. Right here. I don't know if you see that, but she said, consider the phrase F you. And we know what that is. F you, or I'm leaving you. So even these printed words on paper or in text message can make our hearts beat faster. And the reason why is because those words signal threats, aggression, and abandonment, if not both. So this tension between self-preservation and self-connection is captured in popular titles such as "Do I need to give up on me in order to sacrifice my self-preservation, or to be loved by you," which means in order to have a connection. I'm going to say that again. The question that really does run in the back of our minds, and let me open this up. The question that really runs in the back of our minds most of the time is, okay, I'm going to say this again. Do I need to give up on me and sacrifice my self-preservation in order to be loved by you, in order to have and keep that connection? And tonight we're going to be talking about a balance, how we can do it all. We can do it all. So psychologist Mr. Patrick Wright, he did a long-term study. He says that personality is all about the big 5 traits. And we're going to talk about what are they? What are these big 5 personality traits that we one of us, like I said, some of us may have a combination of both of them. So let me open this up a little bit, magnify it so you can see what I'm seeing. So the easiest way to remember them is to use the acronym OCEAN. Says Dr. Nick Haslam. He's a professor of psychology at the University of Melbourne. So the acronym to remember these 5 different personality traits is OCEAN. Number 1 is openness. So openness, he describes it as the tendency to be open to new ideas, be imaginative, be curious, and creative. Professor Haslam also talks about people who score high in openness are often interested in being creative and have creative pursuits, more creative pursuits. Number 2 is conscientiousness. So conscientiousness is about having attention to detail and a good work ethic, says Dr. Gardiner, a personality researcher at Griffith University. So people who score highly in consciousness tend to want to get things done on time and the proper way, and to follow rules. So if you prefer to disregard rules and do things your own way, you're likely score lower on the conscientious part of the test. Extroversion is a trait that that's mostly associated with those who like to be the life of the party, and those people who really enjoy socializing and spending time with other people, says Dr. Gardner. So if you prefer to snuggle up with a good book by yourself rather than head to a pub or head to a club, you're likely to score lower on the extroversion part of the test. And agreeableness is number 4. Agreeableness, that personality trait is they like extroversion. They're more extroverted too. They're about interpersonal styles though. So people who score high on agreeableness tend to be warm, trusting, kind, and cooperative. Professor Haslam says that they tend to adjust to others and rather than forcing their own ways on other people. So that's the agreeable personality. The last one is the neuroticism, the neurotic type of personality. And this part is just simply about how likely they are to feel negative emotions like anxiety, sadness, anger, envy, and jealousness. People who score highly on this neuroticism part of the test, they tend to experience a lot of these negative emotions, while people who score lower tend to be more emotionally stable and calm. So, the reason why I wanted to highlight this, the 5 personality traits, and again, the acronym for the 5 personality traits is OCEAN. Okay, so you have your openness, your conscientiousness, your extroversion, the extroverted person. Let me go back. The 5 personality traits again of people are being open. There you have the open person, the conscientious person, the extroverted person, the agreeable person, or the neurotic person. All right, and so we know somebody somewhere who have one of these different personalities, and then we can also relate to whatever is most like we are. I can tell you, I'm more conscientious. That's the type of personality I am, but I'm also more self-preserved. So those two go hand in hand. All right, so let's move this along. And I was trying to see if we had any questions or any scenarios. And it's all going to come right back around to the question for tonight. Again, which one of you, or what would you do? Well, what would you do? It was more towards Tuesday night's session. But tonight I really wanted to talk about the how no one is perfect. You know, or how you hear a lot of people use the excuse no one is perfect or whatever like that. Let me open this up. I wanted to talk more about why your personality is not fixed, says Dr. Patrick. He said it earlier. Let me open this. And we're going to highlight some things that people really feel like, well, this is just me. Have you ever heard someone say, this is just me? This is just how I am, and that's it. You take it or leave it. No, you don't have to take it or leave it. And especially when you're dealing with trying to be connected with people, whether it's your spouse, your parents, your children, your nephews, your nieces, your friends, your homies, your co-workers, your bosses. No, our personality is not fixed. We don't have to keep a negative type of characteristic. We can change. So it's and this is what Dr. Patrick is talking about. Our personality is not fixed. Number one, he said many of us tend to think of personality as something that's fixed and stable, but research suggests that it can be quite fluid, which means that you can change. So as you age, we might be higher in consciousness, or more neurotic. Neuroticism might be our neuroticism may be lower, like we don't worry as much. So you might be less anxious and more stable as we age. That's the way it's supposed to be. And then we're more agreeable, is likely to go up as well because we're getting older, you know. But this is Dr. Gardner who's saying this. So there's also evidence to suggest that we can change our personality traits ourselves. It says one recent research paper found evidence that people could intentionally increase one or more of their big 5 traits over a 16-week training period. We can retrain our brain and retrain our character in us if we stick to it for 16 weeks. And it's been founded through long-term studies. So the problem with viewing personalities as fixed or as static is that it can create an excuse for poor behavior or a refusal to change. And if you believe that your personality is fixed and you behave in a way that is thoughtless, unpleasant, or immoral, then you're likely to think that that's just my personality, like I said earlier, and be less likely to try to change, states Professor Haslam. Okay, but again, this is all having to do with being connected, and we're going to move into actually being more balanced in our relationships. So it says that to the other person that that this is out of my control. When somebody says something like this is just the way I am, you're basically saying that this is out of my control, that there is nothing that I can do about my character flaws and suck it up, and that is not true. So that is not a great idea, and it is empirically wrong as well. It has been proven that a person can change. So let's move it along, because balance is everything. Balance is everything when it comes to oh, okay. I didn't realize this was in here, but what I'm going to do, I want to mention this. This was supposed to be here. This is one of the things that we talked about on Tuesday night, about a lot of times when people are in a relationship and there's a lot of it's just a lot of arguing and a lot of misconceptions and a lot of misunderstandings. A lot of it has to do with developmental changes. So developmental change, this occurs when you recognize a need to make improvement, this developmental change, and to an existing situation. And so a lot of times when people are bumping heads and always repeating the same type of errors, is a lot of it is due to they have not developed a system to change. And again, Dr. Paula Smith, she stated in her Balance and Self-Preservation and Being Connected to whoever you want to be connected to, a developmental change is a possibility. You can change when you recognize that there's a need to make an improvement in your relationships, in your connective situation. So let's talk about balance, which balance being the key. All right. So balance. Why is balance important? Let's answer this first question. I'm going to go back and why is balance important? Everything that has balance in life tends to bring about more happiness. So the more balanced, the happier a couple will be. One of the most important things needed in a healthy relationship is to make sure that there's enough give and enough take. And simply put, enough all around balance in your relationship. So number one, why is balance important in relationship? Let's look at number two. What does balance mean in a relationship? Okay, so a balanced relationship is a healthy relationship. And it's about being equal partners and making sure that you're both feeling comfortable and supported in your relationship. So let's move on to question number three. What are the signs of a one-sided relationship? All right, so the signs are number one, that the relationships make you feel exhausted. Then whatever relationship you in, if you're starting to feel exhausted, then that's a one-sided relationship. If you feel like you don't have a real meaningful connection with that person, then that's a one-sided relationship. If your partner never sacrifices anything that's important to them for you, then that is a one-sided relationship. And if you're always the one that's apologizing, that is a one-sided relationship. Let me blow this up so you can see my face here. Okay? Because this is real. And those of us that have been, most of us have been in relationships. So we know the difference between a one-sided relationship and a relationship where two people are working towards making their relationship a happy one. Again, the signs of a one-sided relationship are the relationship makes you feel exhausted. You just exhausted. Number two, you feel like you don't have a real meaningful connection with them. Like, why does other people, if you married to somebody, why your spouse's co-worker and they homeboy or homegirl know stuff about them and about your inside of your home that you should know? Why do they know it and you don't know it? There's a missing connection there. Okay, your partner never sacrifices anything important to them for you. On Tuesday night, I had given a scenario about a married couple. One man who was more sociable, and the wife was actually a little bit more conservative. And so she was an attorney, and he worked somewhere, but he couldn't wait for his college alumni reunion. He had been talking about it. Well, things came up. It was time for that reunion. His wife had a bad week all week long on her job. She was too tired to go with him, and they just had a huge blowout. Okay, so he felt like she should have sacrificed her tiredness to come and to meet his alumni college buddies, and she felt like he should have understood that, with her being in a legal department, being a lawyer, that she was so exhausted, she wasn't going to be any good anyway that night. So it's a balance. There was a balance that should have been in there. And then the fourth one is you're always the one who's apologizing. If you find yourself always the one on apologizing, then there's a couple of things that you need to do. We're actually going to go into that another time with the always apologizing thing, because sometimes it really is mostly your fault if you always order, or sometimes you just living with somebody that's truly overbearing. And so it's just that ain't gonna work. All right, so let's move on to some more things here. It says balance is the key. So I'm sorry, did I move too quick? Oh, I did. I moved too quick, y'all. All right, here we go. All righty then. So let's move on to what are the signs? How do you maintain balance in a relationship? Number one, it says let's keep your expectations realistic. So no one can be everything that we might want them to be, but healthy relationships means accepting people as they are and not trying to change them. All right. I don't 100% agree with this, because it depends on the person. If a person is on a dangerous level of being immature, you're gonna have to be realistic. Is this somebody that you can do life with? Because some people are just dangerously immature, and and so if they don't protect their life, they're not going to protect yours either. So you have to look at things again. You're right. Keep an expectation. They want you to keep expectations realistic. But when you realistically find out, like Maya Angelou says, when somebody show you who they are, believe them. Now, again, I'm a realist as well, and I'm also an optimist. I know that people can change for the better, but that person has to want to change for the better. So this is a catch-22 with this one. Keep expectations realistic. Number two, she's talk with each other. And that's true. It cannot be said enough that proper communication is essential to healthy relationships. You have to communicate properly. We have to always remember that people are not in our heads. So when they're not in our heads, they don't necessarily know what we're trying to communicate to them. So you have to be descriptive. Sometimes it's not easy for a person to be descriptive when they're talking, but you can practice, and you can learn how to be more descriptive so you can explain what's in your head. I stated this on Tuesday night. Sometimes when I finish telling something that of importance, I have to end it by saying, I hope that I communicated this to where you properly understand it. And then I'll go back and I'll reiterate it, because I may have left something out, an important factor out that I did not state the first time. So we have to realize once again that people are not in our heads. And a lot of times we're not communicating the way we think we are. So we have to learn how to be more descriptive when we are communicating, and don't leave things out, because what we don't think is important may be actually very important when it comes to that conversation. Number three says take the time to really be there. Take the time to really be there. Now, social media is a huge hindrance in any relationship nowadays. These cell phones, I mean, they're necessary. We need them. But I mean, they have replaced all types of important conversation time with your loved ones, whether it's your spouse, your children. Most people are on their phones. They could be sitting in the same room texting each other rather than communicating. So it is important to take the time to really be there. And then when you're having a conversation with your loved one, please focus on the conversation. Don't be running. Your mind runs all the time. So you have to learn how to pause your mind and everything. So be there. Number 4 says genuinely listen. Do not interrupt or plan what you're going to say next. Okay, try to fully understand the person that you're communicating with. Try to fully understand their perspective. Number 5 says to ask questions. It's okay to ask questions. I ask questions all the time. If you ask questions, then that's how you get the answers that you need. Okay, so ask questions, show that you're interested, ask about their experiences, ask about their feelings, ask about their opinions, and ask about their interests. Ask questions. That's how you get to know people a little bit better. I'm going to move this along. Number 6 says to share information. Studies show that sharing information helps relationships begin. So let people know who you are, but don't overwhelm them too much personally with too much of your personal information too soon. I remember going out meeting some people and I wear so many different hats. I'm a singer, I'm an author, I'm a consultant, I'm a counselor. I mean, I do so many things. I'm an administrator, so I wear a lot of different hats. So I remember going out and it was on a singing engagement, and I met someone, and we went out to eat afterwards. After the event, it was a group of us that went out to eat, and that person just started rambling on, talking about a lot of personal stuff. And I was just overwhelmed because I was like, whoa. And it was stuff that like you don't normally tell people. You know, I was like, oh, Jesus, you know. But so this is what this means here. You know, it's okay to tell a little bit of your personal, if you want to share with somebody, if you feel like you can trust them, but don't overwhelm them with your personal, with all your problems and stuff like that. Number 7 says to be flexible. So it is natural to feel uneasy about changes. Healthy relationships do allow for change and growth. Now, I'm not talking about unhealthy relationships. I mean, unhealthy situation. You don't have to risk your life or your health, your mental health. You don't have to risk any of these things. You don't even have to risk your integrity and the things that you stand for this. But they're talking about healthy things. Like, say you may not like going bike riding, but your spouse loves going bike riding. Compromise and go bike riding sometimes. That's what she means by this. Number 8 says to take care of yourself too. Oh my gosh. It is so important to take care of you, because if you are no good for yourself, you're no good for anyone else. So take care of yourself. Healthy relationships are mutual. Healthy relationships show with room for both people to meet both people's needs. I'm gonna say that again. Healthy relationships are mutual, with room for both people's needs to be met. But you got to take care of yourself. You got to, and y'all should understand each other too. Sometimes when I get tired, I don't do this often. I know I'm getting to the age where I need to take a nap, but if I take a nap, that means I am tired. So if I'm taking a nap, my husband, if he's off that day and I taking a nap, he'll let me take that nap. He'll just be like, don't even bother me. Sometimes I wake up and say, oh, you didn't wake me up. He was like, no, you were tired. You needed to sleep. That's what it's take care of yourself. All right. Number 9 says to be dependable. So if you make plans with somebody, follow through with them. If you say you're going to do something, follow up with it. And if you can't do it at that time, then please communicate that. That's important, because if you take on a responsibility, complete it. Healthy relationships are trustworthy, and it's hard to trust someone who never keeps their word. So be dependable. If you never keep your word, I taught my grown folk growing up that we only have a couple of things. We have our name and our word. And when you mess your name up and you mess your word up, you're done. That's it. So please be dependable. It's important to be dependable. Fight fair. Number 10 says to fight fair. Most relationships have conflicts, and it only means that you disagree about something. It does not have to mean that you don't like each other, though. Okay, so you only just disagree. It doesn't mean that you don't like each other. I'm going to come back here with this fight fair at the end, because there are some different bullet points to show us how we can fight fair and when we're trying to stay connected to the people that we love. Okay, all right. So number 11 says to be affirming. According to relationship researchers John Gottman, happy couples have a ratio of 5 positive interactions or feelings for every 1 negative interaction. So you have 5 positive reactions to every 1 negative reaction. or feeling, and express warmth and affection. So keep expressing your warmth and affection in your relationships, because nobody, again, we're gonna say that nobody's perfect, but we all can be purer and be better. Number 12 says, oh, did I do it? Number 12 says to keep your life balanced. And that's what we're talking about right now. A balance within your connectiveness, a balance in your relationships, a balance in your life. Keep your life balanced. Other people help make our lives satisfying, but they cannot meet every one of our needs. So find what interests you and become involved in what interests you as well. Okay, healthy relationships have room for outside activities. My husband and I, we don't do everything together. My children, we don't do everything together. My sister, my nephews, my nieces, my family and friends, we don't do everything together. There are a lot of things that I like to do by myself. Like reading is definitely one of them. I love to read, and it relaxes me. There are other things that I like to do by myself, alone with myself, and that is it. And I'm talking in a positive way, guys. Okay, in a positive way. It's okay, and then still be able to have your connectedness and your relationship. That's called balance. My husband, he enjoys like puzzles and doing things like that. I'm not really a big puzzle person, but that's what he likes to do, and that's what he does on his own. Okay. So that's keeping your life balanced. Number 13 says that it is a process. Being connected, staying connected, and forming connectiveness with people, it is a process. It might look like everyone on campus or whatever is confident and connected, but most people share concerns about fitting in, getting along with other people. It takes time to meet people and to get to know them. So healthy relationships can be learned, they can be practiced, and they can keep getting better. So it is a process. Nothing happens overnight. It's a process. Number 14 says to be yourself. It is much easier and more fun to be authentic than to pretend to be something or someone else. Healthy relationships are made of real people, not fake people. I remember, I don't know if y'all, some those that are watching, it's a different world with Dwayne and Whitley and all of them. That old show that came on. It's a different world. And when her and Dwayne Wayne got married, when they got married, Whitley would get up extra early in the morning and pretend that she hurry up and go brush her teeth and wash her face and all of this and do her hair, fluff up and put a little makeup on. So by the time her husband woke up, he would wake up and say, "How do you wake up looking so beautiful?" She was pretending because she didn't want him to see how she looked first thing in the morning. I'm quite sure as they went along in their marriage, she stopped doing that, because that's a lot of work. You can't even sleep your normal hours because you're trying to wake up extra early to make sure that you are looking good at all times. Listen, there are two sides to every person. You have your good, and then you have your complicated. I call it the complicated. But I'm telling you, and people, whoever is close to you, connected to you, they're going to always see both. Okay, but it's so important to be yourself, be authentic, be genuine. All right, so I'm gonna go because I wanted to give y'all these strategies about fighting fair. And I'm talking to me first because a lot of times we don't fight fair. And I'm saying we because it's me too. Number one says to cool down before you start your because you don't want every topic to be heated and explosive. You don't want that. So cool down before talking. I'm talking to me first. All right. So the conversation will be more productive if you have it when your emotions have cooled off a little bit. So you don't say something that you may regret later on. Cool it down. Like the song, cool it down or cool it down. Okay, number 2 says use I statements. All right, so share how you feel and what you want without assigning blame or motives. Like you did this and you did. Don't do that. Say, all right. Say for example, when you don't call me, I start to feel like you don't care about me. Versus you never call me when you're away. I guess I'm the only one who cares about this relationship. Okay, that was so sweet. But I like the way that was phrased. I guess I'm the only one, I would have said it different. I'm just because this is just me. And I'm a counselor. I would have said this way. I don't understand why I didn't hear from you. I mean, whenever, it doesn't matter where I am, I will always call you and check in, so you know that I'm alive. Whatever. But that's just me. But they're saying with this, use I statements. Okay. I wouldn't say I guess I'm the only one that cares about this relationship though, but I would just point that out. It doesn't matter where I am or who I'm with. I want to make sure I always check in with you. So you know that I'm okay. And that's how I would phrase that. All right. So number 3 says to keep your language clear and specific. Try to factually describe behavior that you are upset with, avoiding criticism and judgment, attacking the problem, not the person. Okay, I am human. Hi, okay, Neva. Hi, Neva. How are you? So, this is something that I think everybody kind of fails in this area where keeping your language clear and specific. Try not to just to attack the problem and not the person. Not the person. A lot of times when we're heated, especially about something that we feel is very important to our lives and our relationships and our homes and everything, a lot of times we just get down and say, you know what, I'm sick of you. Or like Dr. Paula Smith said earlier, I didn't say it, but this is what she wrote. She said when somebody gets so upset and they say F you, or I'm leaving you, that's crazy right there. That, I mean, and that's attacking the person. And I'm not, and stuff happens. These things do happen. But what we're saying is that we have, if we kind of cool down and clear our heads a little bit, um, we can kind of help our language a little bit, So keep your language clear and specific. Try to factually describe your behavior, the behavior, or how you're feeling. So because you can get a little further doing it this way. Okay, so number 4 says to focus on the current issue. The conversation is likely to get bogged down if you pile on everything that bothers you. So avoid using always and never language and address one issue at a time. I am so guilty, and I'm a counselor, but I'm still guilty of this too, because I will give example. Okay, so this is just like what happened this time, and, and I'm not saying that it's right, but I'm one to give example when it comes to something like, wow, are we repeating this again? This is just like what happened this time. Really? But they're saying to focus on the current issue. Sometimes you cannot. I'm just going to be honest. Sometimes you really do have to bring an example in order to get the wheels turning. Neva said, okay, I'm glad to hear that you're good. We're talking about connectiveness on tonight. And how we use balance in our lives. Our topic for the month has been the question: are you more self-centered or are you more self-preserved? And this week, Tuesday night's session was more about what would you do. Okay, and that was for Tuesday night. But we're talking about balance and connectiveness on tonight. So, and then it says, take responsibility for your mistakes. That's number 5. Take responsibilities for your mistakes. Apologize if you have done something wrong. It goes a long way towards settling things right again. And when they say apologize, and I'm a big one for this, please don't say I apologize. Oh, my bad. Have enough integrity to say, I am so sorry. Can you forgive me for what I just did? This is something I will try my best not to repeat. I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? And it shows a lot. It shows your character. If you can muster up enough to say, I'm sorry. Can you forgive me for what I done? Not I apologize. Okay. All righty then. Take responsibility for your mistakes. That's number 5. Number 6 says, recognize some problems are not easily solved. A lot of problems are not easily solved. Not all differences or difficulties can be resolved. You are different people. We're different people. And our values, our beliefs, our habits, and our personalities may not always be aligned. But communication goes a long way towards helping people understand each other and addressing their concerns. But some things really are deeply rooted because a lot of times a lot of dysfunctions stem from our childhood, our foundation, how where we came from. Okay. And so it's important to figure out for ourselves what we're willing to accept or when a relationship is no longer healthy for us, because again, you don't want to be feeling drained in a relationship. You don't want to feel like this is just unproductive. That's not what a healthy relationship looks like. Okay, so we are towards the end of our session for this night, and this month is moving along. This is the end of week 3. Next week is week 4, and then we got one day for week 5, and that's it. Okay, but the quote that I really, and I'm going to blow this up because I thought that this was really, really, really something. It was very powerful, and this is by Miss Jackie Stewart. She said, "Nobody's perfect, but all of us can be better than we are." I'm going to say that again. Nobody is perfect, but all of us can be better than we are. And again, I'm going to go back to I chose to add this in this session for tonight because someone quoted on Tuesday night, well, nobody's perfect. You're right. We address the elephant in the room. Nobody is perfect, but all of us can be better than what we are. We don't have to sit there. And it has been researched, it has been proven over and over and over again that if you put practice in to changing our kind of toxic whatever that's about personalities, we can change them. Again, the scripture for the month is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You know, a lot of times people don't care about certain things until it happens to them. And then you're shocked. Oh, how could this happen to me? Well, think about what you've done to people. You know, so it's important. We can. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. But all of us can be better than what we are. That's called growing, growing, growing. So I will see you all again. I'm glad that actually when somebody said this on Tuesday night, because that addressed the elephant in the room. We need to understand nobody is perfect. But if you want to be connected to people, if you want to have a connection with people, and if there's something that's a part of your personality that's not healthy, you can fix it. You can work on it. It's been proven. I talked about it earlier. If you practice something, being better at something for 16 weeks straight, it will become a part of you. It won't be such a chore trying to be this way. It will become a part of you. If you want to start with just smiling and saying good morning for 16 weeks, that's going to become a part of you. Okay, so let's move this along. For my fellow theorists or people that just wanted to know where I got my research from, this is the theory website references. Feel free to go back and look at them, and you can click on them, click on a link, and you can see all of these long-term studies for yourself. Okay, I want to thank you all. Thank you for participating in Counsel today with me once again. I'm Shanrae, August 2021. Okay, for this month, self-centered or self-preserved. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am. If you wanted to go back and look at one of the past sessions that I have, feel free to go to my YouTube channel at Shanrae Price. Click on any of the sessions, watch it, like, share, and subscribe if you choose to. I'm also a professional one-on-one counselor. So if you're interested in any type of professional one-on-one counseling services, feel free to contact me via Facebook Messenger or at my Shanrae Price at Gmail email. I am a lifestyle strategist, and my aim is to aid you in reaching your life's goals and your life's dreams. Okay, and you don't have to, but if you enjoyed this, if something stood out to you, if this was a positive message or session for you tonight, feel free to bless me with a coffee blessing at my $Shanrae Price Cash App. All right, and that has been all for this evening. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. God bless you. I will see you all next Tuesday evening for week 4, part 1 of Are You Self-Centered or Are You Self-Preserved? I'll see you Tuesday night, next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Good night.